This morning's Shiur, we're going to discuss, Be'ez Hashem, the mitzvah, the din of eating on Erev Yom Kippur and the reasons. The makor for eating on Erev Yom Kippur is a Gemara in Yuma. The Gemara says, Daf Pei Aleph Amad Beis, the Tani Chiyeh Barav Midifti, V'nisem es nafshay seichem betisha. It says in the pasuk, Legabe the fasting of Yom Kippur, V'nisem es nafshay seichem betisha, which means you should fast betisha on the 9th day of Tishrei. Frek the Gemara, V'chi betisha masan, and you fast the 9th day. You don't fast the 9th day, you fast the 10th day. Aloi ba'asa masan, Yom Kippur you fast, which is the 10th day. Aloi malach, kala oichol v'shoyse b'chi. Whoever eats and drinks b'chi on Erev Yom Kippur, mala olav akosef ki'ilu es ana chi v'asiri. Somebody who eats on Erev Yom Kippur on the 9th day of Tishrei is as if he fasted the 9th day and the 10th day. Tuesday this year, Tuesday and Wednesday, 2 days is as if he fasted 2 days. So that's the makor for the din, for the mitzvah, the chiyuv, to eat on Erev Yom Kippur. Again, is from the pasuk. It says, V'nisem es nafshay seichem betisha. On the 9th day, we don't fast the 9th day, we fast the 10th day. So Zok the Gemara, if you eat on the 9th day, it says if you fasted the 9th and the 10th day. There is a nidun in the poskim, already in the Rishonim, if this chiyuv, this special mitzvah of eating on Erev Yom Kippur, is it midoraisa or is it midrabanan? Is it midoraisa, which pashtus the Gemara makes a drasha? The pasuk says betisha, v'chi betisha, and the Gemara says elamala olav. Pashtus it's a drasha, which means it should be deraisa. However, there are those that learn that it's the rabbanon. I the drasha smachta ba'alma. So we have a machlokes, if it's deraisa or not. This machlokes is brought in Shulchan Aruch and Hilchas Tainis. The end of Siman Tov Kuf Ayin and Sif Gimel, when the Shulchan Aruch speaks about in Hilchas Tainis, if somebody makes a shavua that he's going to fast. So there's certain days that even if you make a shavua you're going to fast, you can't fast because you're mechuyev to eat. So the Shulchan Aruch goes through which days you're mechuyev to eat. So he says the days that you're mechuyev to eat, midiraisa, you have to eat because you can't make a shavua on what the Torah says. You eat, but you like it because you were over on your shavua. But if it's only the rabbanon, like let's say the nishbal asanis Chanukah Purim, so the shavua is chal because it's only the rabbanon. Venirally says the machaber, the huadin lur shchaydish ve'erev Yom Kippur she'enam elo midrabanan, which means the mitzvah to eat on Erev Yom Kippur is only a chiv midrabanan, and therefore, if you make a shvua, you still have to eat. You have to not eat because it's not a chiv midiraisa to eat. However, elishem medivri harambam nira shehem shal Torah. So we see a machlokes. The machaber says that nearly that it's the rabbanon. He brings that from the Rambam. The Rambam learns that the chiv to eat this Tuesday Erev Yom Kippur is a chiv deraisa. So we have a machlokes. Lahalacha, the Magen Avram, and it's brought in the Mishnah Berurah in Siman Reish Daled, the Siman that is a mitzvah to eat. Ube'emes Yom Kippurim ein el basar lachodesh v'kibul chazal. The Adarabah mitzvah min haTorah lechol be'erev Yom Kippur. It's a mitzvah min haTorah. The Magen Avram, Mishnah Berurah brings it. So this Tuesday Erev Yom Kippur, there's a mitzvah min haTorah to eat. Mitzvah min haTorah. Now, to eat could really just mean to eat a little bit, just not to fast. So you eat. But the Shulchan Aruch says that mitzvah lechol be'erev Yom Kippurim, but not only lechol to eat could mean just to eat a little bit as long as you're not fasting, but Zakta Shulchan Aruch ulaharbois besuda. You're actually supposed to be marba besuda, not just to eat, you have to be marba besuda. There are many reasons and timing for this mitzvah, either mederaisa or mederabanan, to eat on Erev Yom Kippur. We'll go through a few of them, and we'll see that the some nafkamin is actually ladina. First reason, brought in Rashi, right here on the Amud of where the Gemara is about the makor. It's actually Gemaras in other places in Shas. Also, it's a Gemara in Rosh Hashanah that we learned almost the beginning of the Masechta of Tes Amud Aleph. Rashi says, what's the reason why you have to eat? Koloimer, Why is it that you should eat? Haskein atzmacha b'tisha. Prepare yourself on the 9th day. Shetucha l'sanas b'asara. You should be able to fast on Yom Kippur. So mainly either the Torah gave us or we'll see the Rabbana, but you should be able to have koyach. There's a mitzvah to fast. There's a mitzvah to fast in Yom Kippur. We want that you should have the koyach to be able to fast. So mainly there's a mitzvah to eat on Erev Yom Kippur. The only fast in the whole entire year that's midday raisa is Yom Kippur. And Mamela, if there's a fast day on Yom Kippur, the 10th day, so Mamela there's a mitzvah to eat on Erev Yom Kippur. The Rosh says the same thing, and the Torah brings it. Just I'll read a Lashon. He's marchav a little bit in the idea of why there's a mitzvah to eat. The hu me'ahavas hakadosh baruch hu as Yisrael. It's for the love that the Eibishter has to Klal Yisrael. Shlei tziva l'sanas al yom echad b'shana. There's only once a year that the Torah says to fast. For L'chaper Avonosayim, v'tzivam sheyoichlu v'yishtu. Make sure to eat before, to eat Erev Yom Kippur. Kedei sheyuchlu l'sanos. So you should be able to fast. Ushlei lahazik lehem ha'inui. Shouldn't a person, if he doesn't eat before and then he fasts, he could get weak, he could get sick. Moshel a melech that had a ben yochid, and he was geyser that his son should fast for a day. V'tzivo lahachila. Make sure to feed him well. That he should be able to handle the fast. So the first reason is the reason why we eat Erev Yom Kippur is Chiv the Rais the Rabbana, that we should have koyach to be able to fast on Yom Kippur. More reasons, a few more reasons are brought on Rabbeinu Yoina and Shari Tshuva, Shar Dalit, Oises Ches, Tes, and Yud. The Shari Tshuva says that it's to show and to celebrate a simcha that we have kaparas avonis. Yom Kippur is a day that we wipe clean our avonis, is kaparas avonis. So to show that we're happy, and we are happy, so we eat, we have a Suda before Yom Kippur. You can't have it on Yom Kippur, it's a din to fast. So that Suda is for the happiness, the Lashon of Rabbeinu Yoina. A person to show his happiness when the time once a year of kapara comes, and it shows which means that if a person is happy on Erev Yom Kippur, it shows that he believes and he is going to get this kaparas avonis. If somebody comes out of jail, he's very happy because he got released from jail. So if a person makes this suda, it's a simcha of kaparas avonis. Right in the Rishonim, another reason why we eat on Erev Yom Kippur, for the simcha of the kaparas avonis. The next reason, which is a little bit bedoimet to the first reason. We saw the first reason in the Rishonim is that you should have koyach to fast. Rabbeinu Yoina says you should have koyach to be able to daven and of course do tshuva. On Yom Kippur there's a mitzvah to do tshuva. And we daven the whole day. Pasha to have koyach, there's one part to be able to fast. There's a mitzvah to fast, you have to fast. But then even more to be able to use the day of Yom Kippur to daven and to do tshuva. So that's why there's a din to eat Erev Yom Kippur. And another reason says Rabbeinu Yoina, which we're holding now, reason number 4. Rabbeinu Yoina says, just like every Yom Tif, there's a din to make a Suda. Why do you make a Suda every Yom Tif? You make a Suda because we want to show that we're happy with the mitzvah of Yom Tif. That's what Rabbeinu Yoina says. I'll read it a Lashon. Ki b'shar Yom Tovim anachnu koivim Suda. Why do we make a Suda every Yom Tif? Shabbos, there's a drasha for 3 Sudas. Why do we make a Suda on Yom Tif? Ki anachnu koivim Suda l'simchas ha-mitzvah. For the simcha of the mitzvah that we have a din of Yom Tif. And the mitzvah that we're makayim b'simcha is much bigger. Ki yigdal v'yiskem mo'it schara mitzvah l'simcha. And therefore, the mitzvah is much bigger when you do it b'simcha, we make a Suda. The same thing is also for Yom Kippur. Just like every Yom Tif we make a Suda. So Yom Kippur also is a Yom Tif we want to make a Suda. But Lamaisi, you can't make a Suda on Yom Kippur. He's a din to fast. So maybe we'll make the Suda before Yom Kippur. So that's another reason for the Suda on Erev Yom Kippur is a Suda for the Yom Tif of Yom Kippur. Another reason We'll sum it up, all the reasons, in a minute. Another reason is brought in the Prisha, and he says that sometimes a person's busy. You find that sometimes a person at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he says, I haven't eaten anything yet today. So it's not going to be nicker when Yom Kippur comes about. And if you didn't eat anything Erev Yom Kippur, it's not nicker that you're really fasting because the Torah says to fast. It could be you're just fasting because you didn't get around to eating, so you're just so busy and you just didn't get to eat. Says the Prisha, there's a mitzvah, we eat on Erev Yom Kippur, and then we stop to show that we're fasting on Yom Kippur is because the Torah said to fast on Yom Kippur. The Siddur Rashmi Germaiza says along these lines, and he just says it, that we want to show that the mitzvah of fasting is also by night. So we eat the whole day and we stop by this before. We're Tosas Yom Kippur, but we stop to show that by night also there's a mitzvah. It's part of the mitzvah of fasting. But this reason number 5, is that we eat on Erev Yom Kippur to show that on Yom Kippur we're fasting. Because if you just by default didn't eat on Erev Yom Kippur and you just continued not eating, who said you're fasting? Because the mitzvah is to fast. And one final reason for now, which is brought into El Yerabah, which is interesting, he brings up his Shem de Shiboili Aleket, and he says the reason why we eat on Erev Yom Kippur is because it causes more inui, more pain on Yom Kippur when you fast. When you eat on Erev Yom Kippur, you have more pain. The Aruch HaShulchan explains, and of course, which we mentioned before from Rashi, when you eat on Erev Yom Kippur, you have more koyach. You have more koyach to fast, you could daven, but you're somewhat more in pain, the way how he calls it, the change hapesoimi, like the culture shock that you had a good meal yesterday and today you're fasting. It's a little bit like the idea that people say at the time of their meal, if they always eat lunch at 1 o'clock, on a fast day, when lunchtime comes, they're hungry then because their body's used to it. So this idea, says the El Yerabah B'Shem de Shibali Aleket, that we eat on Erev Yom Kippur to cause us more inui. Again, it's not a sad day. Yom Kippur is a Yom Tov. You're supposed to be besimcha. But the inui, we fast to have inui, to be able to, it's part of the kaparas avoinus of the fast. So to cause more of it, we eat on Erev Yom Kippur. So just to go over the 6 reasons that we just said now why to fast, and we'll see some nafkaminas ladina. Reason number 1, we saw in Rashi and other Rishonim, that we fast to have koyach, we eat, shkoyach. We eat to have koyach to fast. That's the first reason why we eat, the mitzvah to eat on Erev Yom Kippur. Second reason, that we're besimcha to have, we show and we are besimcha that we have kaparas avoinus. Reason number 2. Reason number 3, that it's a suda. Like every Yom Tov we make a suda. We can't make it on Yom Kippur, so we make it Erev Yom Kippur. Reason number 4, reason number 5, reason number 4, which we said it before, number 3 is that a person should have koyach. You eat, so you should have koyach to daven and to do tshuva. Next reason, number 5, that it should be nicker, that you're fasting on Yom Kippur, so we eat Erev Yom Kippur, and then we stop by Yom Kippur to show that we're stopping and we're fasting because the Torah says to fast. And then the last reason, the reason number 6, was that the achila of Erev Yom Kippur causes more inui for on Yom Kippur. The fast is a harder, somewhat of a harder fast when you eat on Erev Yom Kippur. So all these are reasons why we eat on Erev Yom Kippur. Again, we said these are machloikis. If this mitzvah of eating on Erev Yom Kippur is a mitzvah mid'oraisa or it's a mitzvah midrabanan. What's the nafkamina and the nafkamina ladina between all these reasons why we eat on Erev Yom Kippur? What happens if somebody's a chayla that's not going to be fasting on Yom Kippur? The reasons that we said why we fast, to have koyach, why we eat on Erev Yom Kippur, is to have koyach to fast, koyach to daven, the reasons to cause more inui. If those are the reasons why we eat on Erev Yom Kippur, so if you're not fasting on Yom Kippur, you're a chayla, which is a chayla that's not going to fast on Yom Kippur, you don't have the reason of eating on Erev Yom Kippur. But if the reason is a reason because of Yom Tov, or the reason is because of kaparas avoynus. For those reasons, even if you're not fasting on Yom Kippur, you still have a mitzvah to eat on Erev Yom Kippur. That would be an afkamina, l'chayra. Again, if the reason why we eat is to be able to help out the fast, so if you're not fasting, you're not me'inyanah. But if the reason why we eat is for the Yom Tiv is even if you're not fasting. L'maisa, the Ksaf Sefer says that it depends. We started off and we said that this mitzvah of eating Erev Yom Kippur depends if it's the Raisa or the Rabbanon. So he says like this: if the mitzvah to eat on Erev Yom Kippur is midei Raisa, then you can't be doirish taimid akra l'kula, which means you can't say the reason why the Torah wants we should eat is to have koyach to fast. The reason is to have koyach to fast, and if you're not fasting, then you don't have to eat. The Torah says you have to eat, so it doesn't make a difference if you're fasting or not, you have to eat. But says the Chassam Sofer, if it's a mitzvah d'Rabbanon, so then, let's see what the reason is. Why did the Chacham tell us to eat? If they told us to eat because of to have koyach, so if you're not fasting, it's not applicable. And Mamela, if a person's not fasting, he doesn't have to eat. Mi'idach, the Netziv brings in Hemek Shaila, he brings the Shiltas. The Lashon, I'll read to you, is Medayik the Lashon. The Lashon of the Shiltas is Kol ha'oichel v'shoisa b'tshi'i. Whoever eats on the 9th day of Tishrei, u'mis'ana ba'asiri, and he fasts the 10th day, u'mis'ana. Not just he eats. In other words, you have to do both. Kol ha'oichel v'shoisa b'tshi'i, u'mis'ana ba'asiri, ma'il olav ha'kosav kilu sa'ana both days. So he's Medayik. A person has to fast on Yom Kippur to be nichlal in the mitzvah of eating on Erev Yom Kippur. So we saw the Ksav Sefer says, listen, you can't be doirish time with the Korah. The mitzvah is regardless. The Netziv is medayik that it seems even in the drasha of what we saw in the Gemara, Kol ha'oichel, either he has such a girsa in the Gemara or that's what the Shiltas has. Kol ha'oichel v'shoisa b'tshi u'mis'aneh means it's a Tanai. Only if you fast on Yom Kippur could you be part of the mitzvah of eating on Erev Yom Kippur. Which the Netziv says, an interesting idea that comes out from this. He says if the reason, it's not totally what we just said, but if the reason why we eat on Erev Yom Kippur is to have koyach to fast, sometimes you'll have a person, I'll tell you, listen, I have no problem fasting. Some days I just go, a whole day goes through without fasting anyways. Says the Netziv, if the reason why we eat is to have koyach, if you don't need it, you don't have to eat. That's what the Netziv says. But anyways, if somebody's a chayla that's not going to be eating, that's not going to be fasting on Yom Kippur, if he's not going to fast on Yom Kippur, says the Netziv, he doesn't have the mitzvah of eating on Erev Yom Kippur. But says the Steichemed, important din. If this person on Erev Yom Kippur is not fasting, the doctor says he shouldn't fast. He should still eat on Erev Yom Kippur because who said that when Yom Kippur comes, maybe he would be able to fast? I mean, if he's a chayla, mesukah, and a goisis, there's no chance I'll be derech hateva that I'll be able to fast, then you don't have the svara. But says the steichemed that if a person's borderline, and since he's borderline, now the doctors tell him Tuesday morning, don't fast on Yom Kippur. The Rav tells him, Lamaisa, he might get better over the day and he will be fasting, so he has to eat on Erev Yom Kippur on the chance that he's going to fast on Yom Kippur. Another nafkamina, which may be a nafkamina in the reasons that we said, what's about the mitzvah of eating Erev Yom Kippur? Is it also the night before? Which means this year, Erev Yom Kippur, Tuesday, is there a mitzvah to eat Monday night? Is there also a mitzvah to eat b'chi by night? Leil Erev Yom Kippur, this year, Monday night, is there also a mitzvah to eat? So, pashtus, with all the reasons of having koyach, causing more inui, koyach for davening, fasting, there's no reason why you should have to eat the night before. Pashtus, I mean, if you eat Erev Yom Kippur, it'll give you koyach. but for the reason of the Sudas Yom Tif, just like every Yom Tif, these two Sudas, it's possible maybe that you should be a din that eat Leil Erev Yom Kippur as well. So is there a mitzvah to eat the night before Erev Yom Kippur, Monday night? So it's a machlokes. The Pasha says in the Poskim there isn't. The Aruch HaShulchan Siman Reish Dalet Sif Hey says that there is no mitzvah. It brings a raya from a Gemara, a Rashi and Ksubas. I'm not going to go through the Gemara, but the Gemara makes a difference between why we don't make a wedding close to Shabbos, because you might come to Shecht on Shabbos, after Shabbos, as opposed to Yom Kippur. We don't push off Yom Kippur after Monday, because maybe you're going to Shecht on Shabbos. The Gemara says, what do you mean? Erev Yom Kippur is a mitzvah to eat. Why are we not worried that you're going to Shecht on Shabbos? So the Gemara says, Islay Rafcha, this time to Shecht. When is their time? Rashi explains, because Motzah Shabbos, there's no mitzvah to eat. Meaning to say is that the night, Leil, Erev Yom Kippur, there is no mitzvah to eat. So maybe you can prepare then the meat, the Suda, Shechting, the chickens, for the next day for Erev Yom Kippur. So the Aruch HaShulchan says that this mitzvah of eating on Erev Yom Kippur, there is no mitzvah the night before. Me'idach, the Shlah says that he's a mitzvah. The mitzvah to eat is also a mitzvah by night. It's very negay if somebody's noider min abas, a person that doesn't eat meat during the week, only Shabbos and Yom Tov. So of course on Erev Yom Kippur he's allowed to. So the question would be, what's the din lagabe Leil Erev Yom Kippur? But you see from what they've done, if that's nichlal, which means lagabe noshim, but says the shlah that he's a chiyuv, he's a mitzvah to eat Leil Erev Yom Kippur as well, the night before Erev Yom Kippur. What's about ladies? Are ladies mechuyev in this mitzvah? It's sad why ladies should not be mechuyev. It's a mitzvah sasei man grama. It's a mitzvah that's totally in time. The time is Erev Yom Kippur. So the poskim are mesupik, the Rashash is mesupik, Reb Kiveger, maybe they should be potter because it's a mitzvah sasei man grama. Me'idach, again, it's sad why they should be potter. It's a mitzvah sasei man grama to eat on it. A person is noyik to eat, but the mitzvah, when the Torah says, just like the Torah says, take lulav the first day of Sukkot, the Torah says, eat on Erev Yom Kippur. So it's a particular time. It's only this, that's when the Torah says it's a mitzvah to eat. Of course, if when you eat, you makayim a mitzvah on your bench, but the mitzvah to eat is a mitzvah at a particular day, only on Erev Yom Kippur. So it's a mitzvah sasei shazman grama. However, the Ksaf Sefer says, I have a reason why Noshim, ladies, should yes be mechuyev, even though it's a mitzvah seishas man grama. Just like the Gemara speaks about mezuzah, it's a Gemara Kedushin. The Gemara discusses if ladies are mechuyev in mezuzah. The Gemara says maybe we should make a drasha and makish it to mitzvahs that ladies are not mechuyev and pater them from mezuzah. So the Gemara says no, we're not going to pater ladies from mezuzah. Why not? Because Noshim Boy Chay, the reason for mezuzah, the Gemara says you should put on a mezuzah l'man yirbu yemechem, and since it's for arichas yamim, ladies also need arichas yamim. So maybe it's not mastaber to pater them with a hekesh to pater them to say that they don't have to put on a mezuzah. So Mela says the Ksaf Sefer. The same thing also is about eating on Erev Yom Kippur, based on the reasons we saw before. That you fast on you eat on Erev Yom Kippur to have koyach. If that's the reason why we eat on Erev Yom Kippur is to have koyach, so ladies also need to have koyach. Another reason brought by the Ksaf Sefer's grandfather, Reb Kiveger, and he says another reason. He says that it's really, since the Gemara calls it kala oichel keilu es ana, when you eat on Erev Yom Kippur, it's as if the eating is like fasting. And since ladies are mechuyev, they're nichlal in the fasting, since they're nichlal in the fasting, so mamela they're nichlal in the eating also. So we have two reasons over here One is why they should mechuyev is because they also need koyach to fast. And another reason is because they're nichlal in the inui. They're nichlal in the inui to fast on Yom Kippur. So Mamela, the eating is like part of the Gemara calls it keilu is'ana. So Mamela, if they're nichlal, they're mechuyev to fast on Yom Kippur. Mamela, they're nichlal the mitzvah as well. So we have over here a suffix if they're a shaila, if they're mechuyev to fast, if they're nichlal the mitzvah of eating on Erev Yom Kippur. Lamaisa the Maril and the Darkei Moshe brings it, says that the Nashim are nichlal in the mitzvah, and Mamela Nashim also have a mitzvah to eat on Erev Yom Kippur. It's interesting, the Minchas Chinuch says, based on this concept, that the eating on Erev Yom Kippur is tied with the fasting of Yom Kippur. Says the Minchas Chinuch for a pashtus that just like on Yom Kippur, the fasting, what is the fasting, which means you're not allowed to eat? It's b'koiseves, the size of a date. That's how much the shiur is. The achila on Yom Kippur, says the Minchas Chinuch, on Erev Yom Kippur, the achila also has to be with that shiur. Usually the achila is with a kazayas. But since it's tied with the fasting of Yom Kippur, it's actually b'koiseves. One final point, Lagabi, this mitzvah achila on Erev Yom Kippur. Why is there no bracha on the mitzvah? Why is there no bracha like any other mitzvah? Why don't we make a bracha? The first time in the morning when you start eating, you should make a bracha al mitzvah achila. Why don't you make a bracha? These three terutzim. One teretz is brought in the poskim that it's not a mitzvah for itself. It's only a hechsher to be able to fast, like the reasons we saw. It should give you koyach to fast. So it's only a hechsher, and you don't make a bracha on a hechsher. Another reason, since we eat on Erev Yom Kippur to have koyach to fast on Yom Kippur, what happens if the person just doesn't make it through Yom Kippur to fast? So it comes out that you weren't makayim the mitzvah of eating on Erev Yom Kippur, and it's a bracha levatala. Which these terutzim are a little bit of a chiddush. This one at least, you did the mitzvah to have koyach to fast. What happens at the end is a different story. But that's a second reason. And a third reason is we find by mitzvah sichlius, like on kibbut avayim, tzedakah, mitzvahs that are sichlius, that it's not muchrach, that you're doing it because of the mitzvah. You would do it for practicality as well. You don't make a bracha. Those are three terutzim explanations why we don't make a bracha. So again, what we spoke about, the mitzvah, there is a mitzvah to eat on Erev Yom Kippur. A shaila if it's deraisa derabanan. We saw many different reasons why the mitzvah is. The nafkamin is if somebody's not going to fast on Yom Kippur, does he have a din to still eat on Erev Yom Kippur? We spoke about nashim, ladies, if they're nichlal, and then we saw that if it's a mitzvah, for whatever reason, it's a mitzvah that we don't make a bracha on. Good Shabbos and a gemar chasima toiva.